right. So let's imagine ancient Egypt,
Mm.
land of the pharaoh's pyramids, that whole
Yeah.
thing. And the sun is what's obviously beating down. It's not just hot, though, right?
Right.
It's like the source of all life.
Right.
It's everything.
Absolutely.
And you look up, you don't just see the sun, you see Ra, the sun god,
Oh, wow.
house self, starting his journey across the sky every day.
Yeah.
Ready to kind of explore that story with me.
Absolutely. And it's more than a journey, right? It's this epic story of battles and transformations and even rebirth, a tale that basically captivated the Egyptians for centuries.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to dive deep into today.
Right.
Using some excerpts from the History Hit podcast called The Egyptian Sun God,
Oh, cool.
featuring Egyptologist Dr. Campbell Price,
Okay.
and then a retelling of Ra's myth, like a dramatic retelling.
Wow.
So,
It's amazing how these sources, reveal like how fascinated the Egyptians were with the sun.
oh
It
yeah.
wasn't just a scientific thing to them. It was this divine entity.
Oh yeah, it was a god.
Yeah. A god whose actions like shaped their world.
Like directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And Ra's voyage, I mean, this was no walk in the park.
No.
He's traveling in this magnificent solar barge, and he's changing forms throughout the whole day.
Mm.
Dr. Price describes him as like youthful Khepri in the morning,
Okay.
pushing the sun up
Pushing it up.
like a scarab beetle rolling its dung ball.
I love that image of the scarab beetle. So powerful. It
Yeah.
wasn't just about the sun rising. It was about, rebirth, renewal,
Right.
that cyclical nature of life. So central to how the Egyptians viewed the world.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah.
And then midday, he transforms into
Oh.
a mighty Ra Harakti,
Oh, wow.
the falcon-headed god, soaring at the height of his power.
At the peak.
Yeah, peak power, combining Ra with Horus, the god of kingship,
Oh, interesting.
really emphasizes Ra's supreme authority.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant way to connect the sun god with the pharaoh's earthly power, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then by evening, he becomes Edom, the ram-headed god,
Okay.
preparing to go down to the underworld.
Right.
It's almost poetic how they mirrored the sun's journey with the stages of life.
Yeah. And this idea of the sun setting and Ra going into the underworld,
Yeah.
this is where things get
Really interesting.
really interesting. Yeah. It wasn't a peaceful transition to nighttime. It was a battle for survival every night.
Every night.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The underworld. Or the duat.
The duet? Yeah.
It wasn't exactly a relaxing cruise.
Oh, no.
It's described in our sources as this shadowy realm full of like rip currents, wild beasts,
Oh, my God.
and this unsettling, constant hissing sound.
That's creepy.
I know. It's like they took our fear of the unknown, of the darkness, and gave it like a physical form,
Right. Like a real place.
a real place.
In the duet.
Yeah.
And for Ra, the biggest threat in those shadows was Apep,
Apep.
the giant serpent.
Oh no, of chaos.
Chaos, right? Imagine this massive serpent
Oh God.
trying to swallow Ra whole each night.
Each night.
Yeah. It wasn't just about Ra surviving, though.
What was it about?
It was a cosmic battle between order
Order.
and chaos,
Oh wow.
light and darkness.
So like the fate of the world
Yeah.
depends on this.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And they had Set, the god of chaos himself, fighting with Ra.
What?
Yeah. Fending off Apep with a spear and shield. This wasn't a good versus evil story, though.
No. What was it?
It was an understanding that sometimes you need a bit of chaos to maintain order.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But even while battling these forces of chaos,
Yeah.
Ra's changing.
She's going through something.
He's like rejuvenating,
Rejuvenating.
becoming younger,
Yeah.
traveling through the duat, and eventually he like reemerges as the youthful Khepri at dawn.
It's that cycle of death and rebirth.
Yeah.
It's not just about the sun, though. It was
Yeah.
woven into their entire belief system, like how they viewed the afterlife. Just as Ra emerged renewed, they believed in the chance for renewal after death.
Yeah. Okay. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. For the Egyptians,
What's that?
they believed they could join Ra on this epic night voyage.
Oh, wow. It was like the ultimate afterlife package deal.
Really?
You're sailing with the sun god,
Oh my gosh.
ensuring safe passage through the underworld and a chance at eternal life.
It's like a cosmic pleasure cruise.
Yeah, totally.
But Ra wasn't alone, was he?
No. He often merged with other powerful gods,
Right.
taking on their attributes,
Oh, interesting.
cementing his importance even more.
So this shows how adaptable the Egyptian belief system was.
Very much so.
Like Amun-Re, merging Ra with Amun,
Right.
the local god of Thebes.
Yeah.
They created the most powerful deity in the New Kingdom.
The top dog.
It's like they were always changing
Simplifying.
their understanding of the divine,
Yeah.
blending old with new.
That's cool.
But then we have Akhenaten, who just decides to completely
Flip the script.
flip the script. Around 1350 BC,
This is fascinating. What happened?
he declares that the Aten,
Atena.
the actual sun disk, is the sole god. He outlawed images of all other gods
Whoa.
and even closed their temples.
What a shakeup.
This was a pretty radical move for a society steeped in tradition.
Yeah.
It's like he hit the reset button on their whole belief system,
And focus just on the
just on that raw, unfiltered solar energy.
pure sunlight.
It's almost like a minimalist approach to
It
divinity.
is.
But those hands reaching down the Aten's rays,
Yeah.
they were specifically directed toward Akhenaten and his family,
Oh, wow.
as if to show they were the only ones getting the Aten's blessings.
So he's making a statement.
It's a bold statement about his connection to the divine.
Right.
Like he was the only one who could truly understand and interpret the Aten's power.
Exactly. And this idea is further reinforced by the temples
The temples.
dedicated to the Aten.
Oh, yeah.
No statues of other gods.
Just Akhenaten and his wife.
And their kids.
So it's like instead of these grand temples
Yeah.
filled with carvings and rituals, worshiping the Aten was just about being in the sunlight.
Soaking it in.
Yeah. Experiencing that direct
What a
connection
connection.
to the divine source.
Yeah. No more dark, mysterious temples, filled with incense and chanting.
Right.
It was just the open sky, the sun shining down,
Yeah.
a personal experience of it.
Divine.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to strip away all the layers of
Yeah.
ritual and symbolism,
To get to the core.
the essence of divinity.
Yeah.
But change on that scale does
Yeah.
always stick.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Did this new form of worship last?
Well, Akhenaten's reign was short, unfortunately, for him, only
Yeah.
17 years.
Oh, wow.
And after he died, there was a quick return to the traditional gods and forms of worship.
Right.
I can't just erase those deeply rooted beliefs.
Like a pendulum
Right.
swinging back and forth.
It swings back. But even though Akhenaten's revolution didn't last, it left a mark
It did.
on Egyptian
Oh,
reign.
Art, it shows how established beliefs can be challenged.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
And while the Aten may have faded, the sun continued to be a powerful force
Right.
in Egyptian culture.
Yeah. We see that with Ra's enduring popularity.
Right. And speaking of Ra, let's go back to that image of him battling the serpent Apep every night in the underworld.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think that tells us about how the Egyptians understood the world?
Well, on the surface, it's a story to explain why the sun disappears at night and comes back in the morning.
Right.
But like all good myths, it works on a deeper level, too.
How so?
I think it reflects their understanding of the constant tension between these opposing forces. Order and chaos.
Right.
Light and darkness.
Yeah.
Ra's powerful, but he's not invincible. He needs help
Right.
to beat the forces of darkness to make sure life continues.
So it's not good versus evil.
Not that simple.
It's more nuanced.
There's much more. It's acknowledging both forces are always there.
Always fighting.
In tension.
Yeah. Pushing and pulling.
That's where Set comes in.
The god of chaos.
Yeah.
But he's
That was vital.
to defending Ra
Yeah.
and maintaining cosmic order.
He helps keep the balance.
It's almost like
Yeah.
paradoxical.
It is.
The god of chaos being essential for order.
It really challenges our thinking. Chaos is bad, right?
Right.
But maybe it can be a source of creative energy,
Hmm.
a force for change and renewal.
So maybe it's not black and white.
No.
Good, bad.
Maybe it's understanding how opposite forces are connected.
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
Maybe we should embrace a little chaos.
Oh, wow.
Recognize it can be good.
For growth. Growth.
Transformation.
Exactly.
Speaking of transformation, let's talk about the idea of joining Ra on his journey through the underworld.
Oh, yeah.
What does this tell us about how the Egyptians viewed the afterlife? It gives us a glimpse into their beliefs about death. For them, it wasn't the end.
It was
Transition to another realm.
It almost sounds fun.
Sailing with the sun god.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing, though.
I imagine not. The underworld. The Duat. Scary place.
It was dangerous, filled with tests and challenges.
Oh, wow.
Souls were judged there.
Right.
They had to confront their past and prove themselves worthy of eternal life.
So, like, an element of accountability.
Yeah. You don't just die and get a blissful afterlife.
So joining Ra's barge,
What about it?
it was about getting his protection
Right.
and guidance.
To navigate the underworld.
Yeah. It's like spiritual insurance
I like that.
for the afterlife.
Uh-huh.
But realistically, this was only for the rich and powerful. Right?
Well, yeah. The grand tombs, elaborate rituals, that was for the elite.
Especially the pharaohs.
Of course.
So what about everyone else?
They had hope too.
Wow.
The Egyptians believed everyone had a soul, a ka, that lived on after death. And by living a good life, following truth, justice, cosmic order, they could increase their chances of a good afterlife.
So even if they couldn't literally join Ra,
Yeah.
their souls could still
Undertake the journey.
facing the tests.
Striving for a good outcome.
And that wasn't just rules.
No.
It was about living in harmony with the universe,
Right.
upholding truth and justice,
Right.
contributing to the community.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how the afterlife was tied to ethics and values.
It wasn't just about what happened after you died. It was how you lived.
It really makes you wonder how complex ancient Egyptian beliefs were.
Absolutely. And it makes you want to learn more. Explore the myths and symbols
To uncover the wisdom.
that they hold.
Yeah.
To see what insights we can find.
It's been an amazing journey.
Exploring the world of Ra.
And ancient Egyptian beliefs.
It has.
And for our listeners, I hope this has sparked some curiosity
Some new ideas.
about ancient cultures, maybe even your own beliefs.
About life, death, the universe.
All those big questions.
Remember, there's always more to learn, more to ponder.
Keep exploring. Keep asking those big questions
Join us next time.
for another deep dive, a
Yeah.
captivating topic.
Until then.
Farewell.
So, before the break, we were talking about
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten and that shift to the
Sun disk.
Yeah, the physical sun disk. It really makes you think about the power of belief,
It does.
how it can shape a whole society.
Yeah. I mean, to just completely overturn centuries of tradition.
Right.
And say, forget all those other gods.
Right.
It's all about the sun disk now.
Yeah.
That takes some serious,
Conviction?
conviction.
Yeah.
But what did this new form of worship actually look like?
Well, we actually have some clues
So good.
from the art and inscriptions of that time.
Okay.
They depict the Aten not as like a human-like god or anything, but
Right.
just the sun disk itself,
Oh, wow.
radiating these rays
Okay.
that end in hands,
Yeah.
holding the Ankh, the symbol of life.
Oh, right.
So no more animal-headed deities
Right.
or big, elaborate mythologies about the sun god, just pure sunlight
Like pure Rome.
as the ultimate divine force.
Wow. That's almost a minimalist
Yeah.
approach to divinity.
Yeah, and those hands reaching down from the Aten's rays,
Yeah.
they were specifically aimed at Akhenaten and his family,
Really?
almost like they were the only ones getting the Aten's blessings.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So it sounds like he's making a pretty bold statement
he is.
about his connection to the divine.
It's a power move, right?
Yeah. Like he's the only one
The only one who gets
who
it.
can understand,
I understand.
interpret the Athens power.
That's right. And this is backed up by the fact that in the temples
Oh,
dedicated to the Aten, there were no statues of other gods.
Only of
Yeah,
Akhenaten, Nefertiti,
Oh, okay.
and their children.
So instead of those grand temples
Right.
full of carvings and rituals and all that,
Worshipping the Aten was about
Oh.
just basking.
in the sunlight,
Yeah. Experiencing that direct connection.
that personal connection
Yeah.
to the source.
No more dark, mysterious temples filled with incense and chanting.
Right.
Just the open sky and the sun shining down.
It's simple.
It's a very personal and unmediated experience
It is.
of the divine.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he was stripping away all the layers of ritual and symbolism
Yeah.
to get back to,
what he saw as the pure essence.
of divinity.
That's right.
But change on that scale is tough.
It is.
Did it actually last?
Well, unfortunately for him, Akhenaten's reign was
he's-
pretty short,
Like 17 years?
17 years. And after he died,
Yeah.
there was a pretty quick return to the old ways.
Right.
Traditional gods, traditional worship.
Right back to it.
You can't just erase beliefs that are so deeply rooted.
Yeah. I guess it's like a pendulum
Right.
swinging back.
It swings back.
But even though Akhenaten's revolution was short-lived,
It did leave a mark, though,
it did.
on Egyptian art and religion.
For sure. It shows how even the most established beliefs can be challenged.
Absolutely.
And even though the Aten may have faded, the sun continued to be a powerful force
In Egyptian culture.
in Egyptian culture.
And we see that with the enduring popularity of Ra.
Yeah. For sure.
Absolutely.
And speaking of Ra,
Yeah.
let's go back to that image of him battling the serpent Apep every night in the underworld.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
What do you think that myth tells us about how the Egyptians understood the world?
Well, on the surface, it's a story to explain why the sun sets and rises.
Right.
But like all good myths,
Yeah.
it operates on a deeper level too.
How so?
Well, I think it reflects their awareness of the constant push and pull between opposing forces,
Like what?
like order and chaos,
Oh, hey,
light and darkness.
interesting.
Ra, even though he's a god, isn't invincible.
Right.
He needs help to overcome those forces of darkness.
So it's not just a simple good versus evil.
More complex.
Much more. It's acknowledging that both forces are always present,
Right.
always in tension.
That makes sense.
And that's where Set comes in.
God of chaos.
Yeah. He's vital in defending Ra and maintaining cosmic order.
So he helps keep the balance.
Exactly.
That's wild. The god of chaos needed for order.
Right. It's almost paradoxical.
It is. It really challenges the idea that chaos is inherently bad.
Right. Maybe chaos is a source of creative energy, a force for change and renewal.
You know, it makes you think about how we often see things as just good or bad.
Black or white.
But maybe it's really about how seemingly opposite forces are actually connected.
That's a great way to put it.
And maybe even about embracing a little chaos.
Little chaos.
Recognizing that it can be a catalyst for growth
For growth.
and transformation.
Exactly.
Speaking of transformation,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about the idea of the deceased joining Ra
Oh, yeah.
on his journey through the underworld.
What about it?
What does this tell us about the Egyptian view of the afterlife?
I think it offers a glimpse into what they believed about death
Right.
and what comes after. They didn't see death as the end.
No.
It was a transition to another realm, another phase,
It almost sounds kind of exciting.
sailing with the sun god through the underworld.
Yeah,
But it wasn't all fun and games, though.
I imagine not.
The duet was perilous, full of tests and challenges.
Oh, wow.
Souls were judged there.
Really?
They had to confront their past deeds,
Right.
prove they were worthy of eternal life.
So there's an element of accountability.
You don't just die and get a free pass.
Right, you have to earn it.
Yeah.
So joining Ra's barge then,
What about it?
it represents seeking his protection
Yeah.
and guidance
Guidance.
to navigate the perils,
The dangers of...
the underworld,
Like an insurance policy.
for the afterlife.
Spiritual insurance.
But these tombs and rituals, they were really only for the wealthy and powerful, right?
Yeah. The grandest tombs, most elaborate rituals, reserved for the elite.
Yeah, especially the pharaohs.
Of course.
But what about everyday Egyptians? Did they have any hope?
Of course they did.
How?
The Egyptians believed that every single person had a soul, a ka, that would live on after death.
Okay.
And by living a good life, following the principles of from truth, justice, cosmic order,
Yeah.
they could increase their chances of a good afterlife.
So even if they couldn't literally join Ra's barge,
Yeah.
their souls could still undertake the journey,
Right.
face those tests.
And strive for a positive outcome.
And Mott wasn't just about rules, was it?
No.
It was more about living ethically.
Right. In harmony with the universe.
Nah.
Upholding truth and justice.
Contributing to the well-being of the community.
All of that.
Wow. So it's amazing how their afterlife beliefs were tied to ethics
Absolutely.
and values in this life.
It wasn't just about what happened after you died.
It was about how you lived. It really makes you wonder about just how rich and complex these ancient Egyptian beliefs were.
It really does. Makes you want to keep digging deeper, you know?
Yeah.
Exploring those myths and symbols.
Yeah.
To see what else we can learn.
It's been a really fascinating journey so far.
Exploring the world of Ra and ancient Egyptian beliefs.
It really has.
Absolutely.
But as we're nearing the end of our deep dive,
Okay.
I'm curious, what's one key takeaway about Ra that stands out to you?
You know, for me, it's that Ra embodies this incredible duality. He's this powerful god bringing life and light,
Right.
but he's also vulnerable. He faces challenges. He needs help to overcome them.
That's interesting.
It's a reminder that even in strength,
Yeah.
there's a need for resilience and connection.
Yeah, that duality thing really resonates with me too. It's like life isn't always about being strong and invincible, you know?
Right.
It's about those moments of vulnerability. you know?
Yeah.
Times when we need to lean on others.
Right.
Like Ra needed Set to help him battle Apep.
And you know that cyclical journey
Yeah.
that Ra takes every day, dying and being reborn.
Right.
It's not just about the sun.
Oh.
It reflects that broader Egyptian concept, cyclical time.
Well, that's interesting. So it's about understanding that endings aren't always final.
Right.
There's potential for renewal, starting over.
Exactly. Instead of seeing time as a straight line.
You have the beginning, middle, and end.
Right. The Egyptians saw it as a circle, constantly repeating, renewing itself.
Oh, wow.
Like the flooding of the Nile every year.
Right. Bringing life back to the land.
Or the phases of the moon, always waxing and waning.
That's a very different way of thinking about time
It is.
than we do in our modern world.
Very much so. And it makes you think, about how our perception of time shapes how we live our lives.
Yeah. How we see challenges, even how we see death.
Exactly.
And for the Egyptians, death wasn't the end.
No.
It was just a transition to another phase.
A continuation of that cycle.
Almost a comforting thought.
It is, in a way. It suggests that even when we face loss and change, there's an underlying order,
Right.
a rhythm to existence that connects us to the past, present, and future.
And that we're not just isolated, but part of something much bigger.
Exactly. A cosmic dance that's been going on forever.
Wow.
And maybe, by understanding these ancient beliefs, by exploring their myths and symbols,
Yeah.
we can gain a deeper appreciation for our own place in it all.
That's a great way to put it. It's been a fascinating journey exploring the world of Ra and ancient Egyptian beliefs with you.
It really has. And for our listeners, I hope this deep dive has sparked some curiosity.
Some new perspectives on ancient cultures, and maybe even your own beliefs about life, death, the universe.
And remember, there's always more to discover, more to learn.
Keep seeking those aha moments. Keep exploring those big questions. And join us next time for another deep dive into a captivating topic. Until then, farewell.